When Alexa Morgan stepped into the Seoul penthouse for her interview, she had one mission: get close enough to Kang Min-suk to destroy him. The man who'd ordered the hit on her father 5 years ago. The Korean Mafia boss whose organization had left her family shattered and her mother dead from grief. She just hadn't expected him to hire her as his personal bodyguard. "Your resume is impressive," Min-suk said, not looking up from the file. Former Marine. Combat experience. Fluent in Korean. Overqualified for security work. "I like a challenge," Alexa replied, her voice steady despite the rage burning in her chest. He finally looked at her. Really looked. Dark eyes assessing, intelligent, missing nothing. "You're American. Black. Female. In Seoul's underworld, you'll face prejudice from all sides. My enemies will underestimate you. My allies will question my judgment. Why would I hire you? Because everyone underestimating me is your advantage, not your problem." Something flickered in his expression. Approval, maybe? Or recognition of a kindred spirit. "You start tomorrow," he said. "Don't make me regret this." Alexa bowed respectfully, hiding her smile. He already would. If this opening has you hooked, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Trust me, you'll want to stay until the end to see what happens when Min-suk discovers who Alexa really is. Chapter 1. The Enemy's Daughter. Alexa Morgan had been 10 years old when her father died. Not died, murdered. Shot 3 times in a warehouse in Busan by Kang Min-suk's men. Her father, Marcus Morgan, had been DEA, working undercover to infiltrate Korean drug trafficking operations. He'd gotten too close to exposing the Kang family's empire. So they'd eliminated him. The official report called it a tragic incident during a raid gone wrong. But Alexa had seen the crime scene photos her mother obsessively studied. Had heard the whispered conversations between DEA agents who visited their house. Had watched her mother deteriorate from a vibrant woman into a hollow shell who died of a broken heart 3 years later. Alexa had been 13 when she buried her mother. 17 when she graduated high school early. 21 when she finished Marine training. 25 when she'd finally tracked down concrete evidence linking Kang Min-suk to her father's murder. Now, at 26, she was his bodyguard. The universe had a twisted sense of irony. Stay 3 paces behind, Min-suk's head of security, Dae-jung, instructed her on day 1. "Your job is to watch his back, literally. Anticipate threats. React faster than thought. He's been targeted 17 times in the past decade. 16 attempts failed. The 17th he paused, cost him his wife." Alexa filed that information away. She'd researched Min-suk's history obsessively, but some details were harder to find. His wife's death was one of them. "When?" she asked. 3 years ago. Car bomb meant for him. She was driving his vehicle. Dae-jung's expression was unreadable. He's been different since. Colder. More ruthless. "Trust no one, including you. Prove yourself or you're out." Understood. Her first day was observation. Min-suk moved through Seoul like a king through his kingdom. Business meetings at high-rise offices. Lunch at exclusive restaurants. Conversations in rapid Korean with men who bowed too deeply and smiled too widely. Alexa cataloged everything. Who he met. Where he went. Security gaps. Potential vulnerabilities. She was here to destroy him, after all. But she hadn't expected him to be this. Controlled. Intelligent. Surprisingly considerate to his staff. He learned her name, her actual name, not just bodyguard, by day 2. Asked about her service in the Marines. Listened when she suggested improved security protocols for his vehicle rotation. "You're observant," he noted after her first week. Dae-jung says you've identified 3 security vulnerabilities he'd missed. "Just doing my job, Mr. Kong." "Min-suk," he corrected. "If you're protecting my life, we're past formalities." The casual intimacy of first names felt wrong. He was her target, not her employer. Not someone who might become. No. She shut that thought down immediately. "Why security?" Min-suk asked one evening as they returned to his penthouse. "You have the credentials for military contracting. PMC work. Better pay, more interesting assignments. Why bodyguard work in Seoul?" "Because you killed my father," Alexa thought. Because I've spent 15 years planning how to make you pay. Because getting close to you is the first step in destroying everything you've built. I wanted a change of pace, she said instead. Soul seemed interesting. He studied her in that way he could see through lies to the truth beneath. You're lying. But I'll let it pass. For now. Her heart hammered, but her expression stayed neutral. I'm not lying. Everyone lies, Alexa. The question is why. He stepped out of the car. When I figure out your reason, we'll have an interesting conversation. That night, alone in her small apartment in Gangnam, Alexa reviewed her plan. Phase 1. Gain his trust. In progress. Phase 2. Access his files, find evidence of all criminal activities. Phase 3. Systematically dismantle his organization from the inside. Phase 4. Ensure he faces justice for her father's murder. It was a good plan. Solid. Years in the making. So why did she feel guilty about deceiving him? She stared at the photo on her wall, her father in his DEA uniform, smiling, alive, and reminded herself why she was here. Justice. Vengeance. The same thing, really. Min-suk had taken her father. She would take everything he had. Starting tomorrow. If you're already feeling the tension between Alexa's mission and her growing conflict, drop a like right now. Comment below, could you stay focused on revenge while working this close to your enemy? Subscribe because what happens next will test every part of Alexa's plan. Chapter 2. The First Crack. The first crack in Alexa's resolve came 3 weeks into the job. Min-suk had a daughter. Alexa discovered this by accident. She'd been reviewing security footage from Min-suk's penthouse, looking for vulnerabilities, cataloging his routines, when a girl appeared on screen. 16, maybe 17. Long dark hair. Wearing a school uniform. Moving through the penthouse like she belonged there. Because she did. That's Soo-jin, Dae-young explained when Alexa asked. Boss's daughter. She lives with her grandmother in Busan but visits monthly. He keeps her existence quiet for security reasons. Enemies can't target what they don't know exists. Smart, Alexa said, her mind racing. A daughter. Min-suk had a daughter. Alexa hadn't factored that into her plans. Hadn't considered that destroying him might destroy an innocent girl too. She met Soo-jin the following weekend. The girl arrived Friday evening with a small suitcase and a bright smile that transformed her serious face. She bowed to Alexa politely when Min-suk introduced them. This is Alexa, my new bodyguard. You hired a woman? Soo-jin's eyes widened with approval. That's so cool. And she's American? Can you teach me better English? My teacher says I have an accent. Your English is excellent, Alexa said, surprised by the girl's enthusiasm. Soo-jin is top of her class, Min-suk said, and the pride in his voice was unmistakable. Genuine. She's applying to universities in America next year. Harvard, Yale, Stanford. I want to study international law, Soo-jin explained. Help people. Make things better. She glanced at her father. Even though Appa thinks it's idealistic. I think it's admirable, Min-suk corrected gently. I just want you to understand the world is more complicated than classrooms suggest. Because of what you do? An awkward silence fell. Min-suk's expression hardened slightly. Because of how the world works. Soo-jin didn't push. Instead, she turned to Alexa. Will you be here all weekend? I'd love to practice English conversation. And I want to hear about the Marines. Did you really serve in combat? I did. That's amazing. Women can do anything men can do, but some people don't believe it. You're proof. She smiled hopefully. Will you tell me stories? Alexa glanced at Min-suk, who nodded permission. Sure. I can do that. The weekend shattered something in Alexa's carefully constructed wall of hatred. Soo-jin was brilliant. Funny. Kind. She helped prepare dinner, something Min-suk insisted on when she visited, saying it was their tradition. She asked thoughtful questions about America, the Marines, what Alexa thought about Seoul. She never once mentioned her mother. Soo-jin doesn't remember her well, Min-suk explained Sunday evening after his daughter had gone to bed. She was only 14 when he stopped. Started again. It's better that way. Some grief is too heavy for children to carry. You carry it instead, Alexa said quietly. Someone has to. He poured whiskey, offered her a glass. She declined. You're wondering why I'm telling you this. Why I'm letting you close to my daughter. The thought crossed my mind. Because you'll need to protect her too, eventually. My enemies know she exists now. Too many years have passed to maintain complete secrecy. She's a vulnerability. His jaw tightened. The greatest one I have. You could send her abroad. Boarding school. University early. I've considered it. She refuses. Says she won't be driven away from her home, her grandmother or me. She's stubborn. A ghost of a smile. Like her mother. Alexa sipped water, processing this new dimension of her target. Min-suk wasn't just a crime boss. He was a father. A widower. A man trying to protect the one person he loved most while running an empire built on violence. It didn't excuse what he'd done to her father. But it complicated her simple narrative of monster and victim. Your wife, Alexa said carefully. The car bomb. Did you ever find who was responsible? Min-suk's expression went cold. Yes. What did you do? What do you think I did? His voice was ice. I eliminated them. All of them. Every person connected to that bomb. Their families, their associates, their operations. I burned their entire organization to ash. He met her eyes. In my world, Alexa, you protect what's yours with absolute force. Anything less is weakness. Weakness gets people killed. Is that how you justify the violence? The criminal empire. I don't justify anything. I simply am what I am. He set his glass down. But you're judging me. Why? What's your story, Alexa Morgan? What made a decorated Marine become a bodyguard for a man like me? Because you murdered my father, she thought. Because I'm going to destroy you the same way you destroyed my family. Everyone has their reasons, she said instead. Yes. And I'm patient. Eventually, I'll learn yours. He stood. Get some rest. Tomorrow we have meetings in Busan. Sujin will ride with us. She's returning to her grandmother's house. Keep her safe. Always. After he left, Alexa sat alone in the penthouse, staring at the city lights. She'd come to Seoul with one mission: destroy Kang Min-suk. She'd researched him for years. Tracked his organization. Learned his patterns. Built an entire plan around exposing his crimes and ensuring he faced justice. But she hadn't planned on his daughter. Hadn't planned on seeing him as a father who loved his child fiercely, protected her desperately, carried grief that still shaped his every decision. Hadn't planned on the small, traitorous voice in her head asking, what if you're wrong about him? No. She crushed that thought immediately. Min-suk had ordered her father's death. That fact didn't change, no matter how many humanizing details she discovered. But Sujin was innocent. And destroying Min-suk would destroy her too. Alexa pulled out her phone, stared at her father's photo, her wallpaper for 15 years. I'm sorry, she whispered. This is getting complicated. Her father's frozen smile offered no answers. Only the weight of a promise Alexa had made to a ghost. A promise that was becoming harder to keep with every passing day. The mission is getting messy. Comment, complicated, if you're feeling Alexa's impossible situation. Like if you think meeting Sujin changes everything. Subscribe because the trip to Busan will force Alexa to make a choice that could expose everything. Chapter 3, Busan. The drive to Busan took 4 hours. Sujin sat in the back seat between Alexa and Min-suk, earbuds in, working on homework. She'd occasionally look up to point out landmarks or share random facts about Korean history. That's where Admiral Lee Sun-sin defeated the Japanese Navy in 1592, she said, gesturing to a coastal marker. He had 13 ships against 333. Still won. Impossible odds, Alexa observed. Not impossible. Just improbable. Sujin grinned. Strategy beats numbers. Right, Appa? Min-suk's expression softened, a look Alexa was seeing more often around his daughter. Right. Though I prefer having both strategy and numbers. That's because you're cautious. That's because I'm still alive. They bantered easily, comfortably. Father and daughter with inside jokes and shared history. It made Alexa's chest ache with memories of her own father. Movie nights. His terrible cooking. The way he'd quiz her on current events over breakfast. All gone because of the man sitting inches away. She needed to remember that. Needed to stop seeing Minsuk as human and start seeing him as target. The Busan meeting was at a restaurant overlooking the harbor. Private room. 5 men already waiting. Stay outside, Minsuk told Alexa. But stay alert. These are allies, but alliances shift. Sujin went to her grandmother's house with one of Minsuk's drivers. Alexa positioned herself outside the private room, hand near her concealed weapon, watching. The meeting lasted 90 minutes. Voices rose occasionally, heated discussion in rapid Korean. Alexa caught fragments. Territory disputes. Payment schedules. Someone named Park causing problems. When the door opened, Minsuk emerged looking tense. The other men filed out, bowing respectfully but with eyes that assessed Alexa with open skepticism. American Bodyguard, one muttered in Korean. He's getting soft. Careful, another replied. She's Marine trained. I heard she took down 3 of Daejong's men in sparring. Simultaneously. The first man snorted. Rumors. No woman. Alexa moved. 3 seconds. She had the first man's arm twisted behind his back, her other hand at his throat, his body weight leveraged against her hip. You were saying? She asked in perfect Korean. Silence. Then Minsuk's voice, amused, gentlemen, meet Alexa Morgan. As you can see, the rumors were understated. Alexa released the man, who stumbled back, face red with embarrassment and rage. Respect is earned, she said calmly. I just earned mine. The men left without another word. Minsuk waited until they were gone before speaking. That was either very brave or very stupid. They needed to know I'm not decorative. Oh, they know now. You made an enemy though. Kim doesn't forget humiliation. I can handle Kim. Yes, Minsuk said thoughtfully. I believe you can. He checked his watch. We have 2 hours before we need to collect Sujin. Walk with me. They walked the harbor, security team following at a discreet distance. Boats bobbed in the water. Seagulls wheeled overhead. It felt almost normal. Almost like 2 people just taking a walk. This is where I grew up, Minsuk said. These docks. My father was a fisherman. Honest work, brutal hours, barely enough to survive. Alexa hadn't expected personal history. What changed? He died. Heart attack on his boat when I was 15. Left my mother with 3 children and debt to loan sharks. His voice was matter-of-fact. The sharks gave us 2 options, pay what we owed or work it off. My mother worked herself to death in 3 years. My younger brother, he stopped. Also gone. I'm sorry. Don't be. It made me who I am. Taught me that honest work kills you slowly and debt kills you fast. So I found a 3rd option, power. He glanced at her. I took over the loan shark operation. Then expanded. Built an empire from nothing. Now I'm the one people fear instead of the one who's afraid. At what cost? Everything. Simple. Honest. My wife. My brother. My ability to trust anyone. The life I might have had if I'd made different choices. He stopped walking. But I protected what mattered. My mother's memory. My sister, she's a doctor in Seoul, has no idea what I really do. And Sujin. She'll never know poverty. Never know fear. Never be powerless. She'll know her father's a criminal. Perhaps. Or perhaps I'll transition everything legitimate before she's old enough to understand. Build something she can inherit without shame. His jaw tightened. That's the plan anyway. Assuming I live long enough. The threats are that serious? Always. I have enemies everywhere. Rivals who want my territory. Police who want me in prison. International agencies tracking my operations. And he met her eyes, ghosts from my past who might want revenge for things I've done. Alexa's heart hammered. Did he know? Had he figured out who she was? Like what? She asked carefully. Like what I did to protect my empire. The people I've eliminated. The operations I've destroyed. The families he stopped. Looked away. Everyone I've hurt had families. Loved ones. Someday, someone's child or sibling or parent might come for revenge. It's inevitable. So I stay alert. Hire people I trust. He looked at her. Like you. The irony was suffocating. He trusted her. The daughter of a man he'd murdered. The enemy embedded in his inner circle. Why do you trust me? Alexa asked. Because you're honest. Even when you're lying. He smiled slightly at her confused expression. You have secrets, Alexa. I know that. But you're honest about who you are fundamentally. Protective. Loyal. Strong. You could have stood aside when Kim insulted you. Instead, you defended your position. That tells me about your character. You're reading a lot into a 3-second confrontation. I've stayed alive 15 years by reading people correctly. You're someone worth trusting. He paused. Unless I'm wrong. Am I wrong? This was the moment. She could confess. Tell him everything. Who she was. Why she was really here. Let the cards fall where they may. But Sujin's face flashed in her mind. That bright smile. Those college dreams. No, Alexa lied. You're not wrong. Good. He checked his watch. We should collect my daughter. She'll want to show you her grandmother's garden. Fair warning, it's extensive and you'll receive a complete botanical lecture. They collected Sujin, who indeed provided a comprehensive garden tour while her grandmother watched with amusement. The old woman spoke no English, but smiled at Alexa with warmth. How Miani likes you, Sujin translated. She says you have kind eyes. Strong spirit. Tell her thank you. Sujin translated, then added something in rapid Korean that made her grandmother laugh and sweat at her playfully. What did you say? Alexa asked. I told her you're the coolest person I've met, and I want to be like you when I grow up. Sujin's expression turned serious. I meant it. You're strong without being cruel. Confident without being arrogant. That's rare. Especially in Appa's world. The words hurt. This girl admired her. Looked up to her. Had no idea that Alexa's entire presence in their lives was a lie. On the drive back to Seoul, Sujin fell asleep against Alexa's shoulder. Minsuk watched them, expression unreadable. She doesn't trust easily, he said quietly. Her mother's death taught her that people leave. But she trusts you. I won't let her down, Alexa said. The promise felt both true and false simultaneously. She wouldn't let Sujin down. But destroying Minsuk would devastate his daughter. There was no version of this mission that didn't hurt an innocent girl. When they reached Seoul, Minsuk carried his sleeping daughter into the penthouse. Alexa watched him lay her gently on the couch, cover her with a blanket, smooth her hair with surprising tenderness. Thank you, he said. For today. For treating her like she matters. She does matter. To me, yes. To most people in my world, she's leverage. A weakness to exploit. His voice hardened. That's why I need people like you. People who'll protect her not because they fear me, but because they actually care. And if I'm not that person? The question slipped out before Alexa could stop it. Then I've made a fatal mistake. He met her eyes. Have I? The moment stretched between them. Heavy with unasked questions and unspoken truths. No, Alexa said finally. You haven't. Another lie. They were piling up. Soon she'd be buried under them. That night, alone in her apartment, Alexa pulled up her father's case file. The photos. The evidence. The timeline of his murder. Marcus Morgan. DEA agent. Undercover operation. Killed by Kang Min-suk's orders. Fact. Undeniable. Unchangeable. So why was she starting to question everything? Alexa's getting in too deep. Drop a comment if you think she's losing sight of her mission. Like if you're feeling the impossible pull between revenge and something else. Subscribe because what happens next will force Alexa to choose between her father's memory and a girl who needs protecting. Chapter 4. The Attack. The attack came on a Tuesday. Alexa was driving Min-suk to a meeting in Gangnam when her instincts screamed wrong. The traffic pattern. The black van that had been following them for 6 blocks. The way pedestrians suddenly cleared the street. Get down. She yanked the wheel hard right into an alley. Gunfire erupted. The back windshield exploded. Alexa accelerated, weaving through narrow streets while calling for backup. Contact rear, 2 vehicles, she shouted into comms. Armed pursuit, shots fired, requesting immediate support. Min-suk was pressed low in the back seat, gun drawn. How many? 2 vans. Multiple shooters. Professional. More gunfire. Their vehicle's armor held but wouldn't forever. Alexa made split-second decisions left, right, through a market that scattered vendors and shoppers. She hated endangering civilians, but staying on main roads meant certain death. Back up ETA 2 minutes, Daejeong's voice crackled through comms. Can you hold? Working on it. Alexa spotted an underground parking garage. Risky but better than open streets. She swerved in, killed the lights, navigated by memory and instinct into the deepest level. Silence. Engine ticking. Their ragged breathing. Stay down, Alexa whispered. She slipped out of the vehicle, weapon drawn, senses straining. Footsteps. Multiple. Descending stairs. They'd followed. Alexa moved through shadow, becoming what the Marines had trained her to be, a weapon. Silent. Lethal. Precise. The first shooter never saw her. She took him down with a strike to the throat, caught his weapon before it clattered. Used his body as a shield when his partner turned. 2 shots. Both enemies down. 3 more coming. Alexa used the concrete pillars for cover, picking them off with controlled fire. Her Marine training was muscle memory, breathe, aim, squeeze, move. When silence fell again, 5 bodies lay in the garage. Alexa checked each one. Professional hitmen. No identification. Weapons expensive and well-maintained. Clear, she said into comms. Min-suk emerged from the vehicle. Assessed the bodies. Looked at Alexa with new intensity. You just killed 5 men in under 3 minutes. Yes. Without hesitation. They were trying to kill you. Still. That was, he searched for words, exceptional. Beyond bodyguard training. That was military spec ops level. Alexa's pulse hammered, but her voice stayed steady. I told you. Marines. Combat experience. Marines don't fight like that. I've seen Marines. You fought like something else. His eyes narrowed. What aren't you telling me? Backup arrived before Alexa had to answer. Daejeong and 6 men swept the garage, secured the bodies, got them to a safe vehicle. The ride to Min-suk's secure facility was silent. He watched Alexa. She felt his gaze like a physical weight. At the facility, a fortified building in Seoul's outskirts, Min-suk's people processed the scene. Identified the shooters. Traced connections. Park family, Daejeong reported. The man you humiliated in Busan. He contracted this hit. Min-suk's expression went cold. Then we respond. Proportionally. Meaning Kim and everyone who helped him plan this. Tonight. Make it clean. Daejeong nodded and left. Min-suk turned to Alexa. You saved my life. That's my job. It's more than that. You could have driven to the nearest police station. Let them handle it. Instead, you fought. Killed. Risked yourself. He stepped closer. Why? Because I haven't gotten the evidence yet, Alexa thought. Because you need to face justice for my father, not die in some random gang war. Because Soo-ji needs her father, even if he's a criminal. The last thought startled her. When had she started caring about his survival for reasons beyond her mission? Because protecting you is my job, she repeated. And I don't do things halfway. No, you don't. Something shifted in his expression. I need to tell you something. About your father. Alexa's world tilted. My father. Marcus Morgan. DEA agent. Killed in Busan 15 years ago. Min-suk's voice was quiet. You're his daughter. I've known since Busan. My people are thorough. The garage walls felt like they were closing in. You knew. I suspected from the beginning. Too many coincidences. Your skills. Your presence in Seoul. Your interest in my organization. He pulled out a file. Her real background. Photos of her father. Confirmed it after the Busan trip. You're here for revenge. Alexa's hand moved to her weapon instinctively. Don't. Min-suk's voice was sharp. You'll be dead before you clear leather. Daejeong has you in his sights right now. He gestured to the observation room where Daejeong indeed stood with a rifle trained on her. She was caught. Exposed. Mission over. Then kill me, Alexa said. Like you killed my father. I didn't kill your father. Liar. You ordered the hit. I didn't. He opened the file, showed her documents. Your father was killed by the Park family. They'd infiltrated the DA operation, discovered his identity, eliminated him before he could expose their trafficking network. Then they framed my organization to start a war between me and American agencies. Alexa stared at the documents. Time-stamped communications. Financial records. Video footage of Park family members planning the hit. No, this is fake. You're lying. Why would I lie? I could kill you right now. Instead, I'm showing you the truth. Min-suk's voice was steady. The Park family killed your father. They've manipulated you for 15 years, turning you into a weapon against me. And it almost worked. The documents blurred. Alexa's entire foundation was cracking. 15 years. 15 years of grief and rage and planning. All based on a lie? I don't believe you. Then verify. I'll give you everything. Full access to my files. My intelligence network. Proof that I'm telling the truth. He paused. Or kill me. Take your revenge. But know that you'll be killing the wrong man. And the people who actually murdered your father will still walk free. Everything Alexa believed just shattered. Comment and away if you're as shocked as she is. Like if you think this changes everything. Subscribe because Alexa's next choice will determine whether she's been fighting the wrong enemy all along. Chapter 5. The Truth. Alexa spent 3 days in Min-suk's secure facility reviewing evidence. Documents. Videos. Intercepted communications. Financial trails. Witness statements from people who'd been there 15 years ago. All of it pointed to the same conclusion. The Park family had killed her father. And Min-suk had been framed. This recording, Min-suk said on day 2, playing audio from the night of the murder. Park Cassius, Kim's father, current head of their family, discussing your father's elimination. Listen. Cassius Park's voice, younger but recognizable. The DEA agent knows too much. Kill him. Make it look like the Kang family's work. We start a war, Kong falls, we absorb his territory. How do we frame them? Easy. Use weapons traced to their armory. Leave evidence at the scene. American agencies will hunt Kong while we expand. Perfect. Alexa's hands shook. Why didn't you expose them? I tried. Went to Korean police, American agencies, everyone. They didn't believe me. Why would they? I'm a known criminal. Parks had cleaner reputation then. Better political connections. His voice hardened. So I've spent 15 years building evidence. Waiting for the right moment to destroy them. Why wait? Because rushing meant mistakes. Mistakes meant failure. I needed perfect, irrefutable proof. He met her eyes. And now I have something better. I have you. Me? Marcus Morgan's daughter. Marine trained. Combat proven. Someone the DEA and Korean authorities will actually believe. He slid a USB drive across the table. Everything's here. Take it to the American embassy. Expose the Parks. Get justice for your father. Alexa stared at the drive. Why are you giving me this? Because it's the right thing to do. Because your father deserves justice. Because he started again. Because you saved my life yesterday. Because my daughter adores you. Because somewhere in the past month, you became someone I trust. Someone he didn't finish. Someone you what? Someone I care about. More than I should. More than is wise. His voice was rough. You came here to destroy me, Alexa. Instead, you've saved me. Multiple times. That means something. I thought you were a monster. I am a monster. Just not the monster you thought. He stood, moved to the window. I've done terrible things. Run criminal operations. Hurt people. Built an empire on others' suffering. But I didn't kill your father. That's the one crime I'm innocent of. Alexa picked up the USB drive. 15 years. 15 years of hating the wrong man. The Parks, she said. They manipulated me. Used me. Yes. They wanted me to destroy you. Weaken your organization so they could absorb it. Yes. And I almost did. But you didn't. You saved my life instead. That's what matters. He turned to face her. Now you have a choice. Take that evidence to the authorities. Expose the Parks. Get justice. Or what? Or help me destroy them. Completely. Not just exposure. Not just prison. Total annihilation of their organization. Everything they've built. Everyone they've hurt. His eyes were cold fire. They killed your father. They killed my wife, yes, that car bomb was their work too. They've trafficked hundreds of women, run drugs, corrupted police and politicians. They're everything wrong with this world. And I want them gone. That's not justice. That's revenge. Sometimes they're the same thing. Alexa stared at him. At this man she'd spent 15 years hating. Who'd just given her proof of his innocence. Who was offering her a choice between law and vengeance. If I help you destroy them, she said slowly, I become like you. A criminal. Someone who takes justice into their own hands. Perhaps. Or perhaps you become someone who protects the innocent by eliminating threats the law can't touch. He moved closer. The parks have connections everywhere. Police. Prosecutors. Politicians. Even if you expose them, they might walk free. Money buys freedom. Always has. So you want to kill them. I want them to face consequences they can't buy their way out of. If that means death, so be it. If it means destroying their empire and leaving them with nothing better. His voice was steel. I want them to feel what I felt when my wife died. What you felt when your father died. I want them broken. That won't bring anyone back. No. But it'll prevent future deaths. All the women they would have trafficked. All the families they would have destroyed. Sometimes prevention requires hard choices. Alexa looked at the USB drive in her hand. Evidence. Proof. Everything needed to expose the parks through legal channels. But Minsuk was right. The parks had connections. Money. Influence. They might escape justice. There's a third option, Alexa said. Oh. We do both. I take this evidence to the authorities. Build a legal case. Meanwhile, you dismantle their criminal operations. Cut off their money. Eliminate their allies. By the time the legal case goes to trial, they'll have nothing left to buy their freedom with. Minsuk considered this. Combining legal and illegal approaches. Using both systems against them. Exactly. We hit them from both sides. They can't defend against both simultaneously. It's risky. Requires precise coordination. One mistake and both approaches fail. So we don't make mistakes. Alexa met his eyes. You said you trust me. Prove it. Let me lead the legal assault while you handle the criminal one. We work together. Partners. Something shifted in Minsuk's expression. Partners. I like the sound of that. This doesn't mean I approve of what you do. Your criminal empire. The people you've hurt. I know. When the parks are dealt with, we're having a serious conversation about your operations. About transitioning legitimate. About being someone your daughter can be proud of. Understood. He extended his hand. Partners. Alexa took his hand. His grip was firm, warm, surprisingly gentle. Partners, she agreed. For Sujin. For my father. For everyone the parks have hurt. And maybe, Minsuk said quietly, for us. The words hung in the air between them. Weighted with possibility. Don't, Alexa said. Don't complicate this with feelings. Too late. I developed feelings weeks ago. Around the time you humiliated Kim in Busan. Or maybe before. Maybe the moment you walked into my office, all controlled fury and hidden purpose. His thumb stroked across her knuckles. You're extraordinary, Alexa Morgan. And I'm done pretending I don't care. I came here to destroy you. I know. Now destroy my enemies instead. He pulled her closer. Then we'll figure out what this is between us. Alexa should pull away. Should maintain professional distance. Should remember that he's still a criminal, still dangerous, still not someone she should care about. Instead, she let him pull her closer. Let herself admit that somewhere between bodyguard duties and shared dangers and Sujin's bright smile, she'd started seeing him as something more than target. This is a terrible idea, she whispered. The best ones usually are. He kissed her forehead gently. We'll take it slow. No pressure. Just possibility. After the parks are dealt with. After, he agreed. First, we destroy the people who killed your father and my wife. Then we figure out what we are to each other. Alexa nodded, stepped back, professional distance reasserting itself. I'll contact the American embassy tomorrow. Start building the legal case. And I'll begin dismantling their operations. Quietly. Carefully. By the time you're ready to prosecute, they'll be too weak to fight back. How long? 3 months. Maybe 4. Depends on how well they're defended. He handed her another file. Start with their trafficking network. Shut it down, free the victims. That'll hurt them financially and morally. Public outrage is a powerful weapon. Alexa took the file. Plans. Locations. Names. Everything needed to destroy the park's human trafficking operation. Just like she'd planned to do to Min-suk's organization. The irony wasn't lost on her. When this is over, she said, we're still having that conversation. About your empire. About becoming legitimate. I'll hold you to that. He smiled slightly. You're already making me better, Alexa. Even when you don't mean to. That night, back in her apartment, Alexa stared at 2 photographs. Her father, smiling in his DEA uniform. And a new photo she'd taken last weekend. Min-suk and Soo-jin in the penthouse garden, his arm around his daughter, both of them laughing at something. 2 men. 2 families. 2 different versions of justice. She'd spent 15 years preparing to destroy one. Now she was preparing to save him while destroying the other. The universe's sense of irony was still twisted. But maybe, just maybe, it was also giving her a second chance. At justice. At family. At something that looked like love if you squinted hard enough in the right light. I'm sorry, Dad, she whispered to his photo. I almost killed the wrong man. But I'm going to get the right ones. I promise. Her father's frozen smile offered no judgment. Only the memory of a man who'd believed in justice, no matter how complicated the path to it became. Everything has changed. Comment if you think Alexa and Min-suk can actually pull this off. Like if you're ready to see the parks fall. Subscribe because the war against Alexa's real enemy starts now, and it's going to be brutal. Chapter 6. The War Begins. The war against the Park family started quietly. Alexa walked into the American embassy in Seoul with a USB drive and 17 years of rage barely contained beneath professional calm. The DEA attaché, Agent Sarah Chin, listened to her story with increasing intensity. You're saying you have proof that the Park family killed Marcus Morgan? Your father. Chen's voice was sharp with attention. Complete proof. Communications. Financial records. Witness statements. Everything. Alexa slid the drive across the desk. They framed the Kang organization to start a war. My father was collateral damage. Chin examined the drive's contents for 2 hours. When she finally looked up, her expression was grim satisfaction. This is solid. More than solid. This is prosecutable. She leaned forward. How did you get this? Does it matter? It matters if this evidence was obtained illegally. If Kang Min-suk is involved, then you have evidence against him too, Alexa said calmly. But that's separate from my father's murder. The Parks killed a federal agent. That's what matters right now. Chin studied her. You're protecting Kong. I'm protecting the integrity of the case against the Parks. Don't confuse the two. Fair enough. Chin made copies of everything. I'll need your full statement. Everything about how you obtained this information. Your investigation. Your timeline. Alexa had prepared for this. She gave Chin a carefully edited version that omitted her bodyguard position, her relationship with Min-suk, and her original revenge mission. Just enough truth to be credible, enough omissions to protect their actual plan. By the end of the day, the DEA was building a case. Chin promised it would take months, maybe a year, but the Parks would face American justice. Slow. Legal. Proper. Meanwhile, Min-suk's war was faster. Brutal. Efficient. We hit 3 trafficking locations last night, he reported 2 days later. Freed 47 women. Destroyed their inventory and finances. Parks lost approximately 12 million won in a single night. Casualties? Alexa asked. On their side, yes. Parks' men fought back. We responded proportionally. His voice was cold. No innocent casualties. Only combatants. They were in his secure facility, surrounded by maps and intelligence. Planning the next strike. Their drug distribution network, Alexa said, pointing to the map. Here, here, and here. 3 warehouses. Hit them simultaneously. Cripple their supply chain. You're thinking like a criminal. Min-suk sounded approving. I'm thinking like a Marine. Strategic targets. Maximum disruption. Minimal collateral damage. Same thing, different uniform. He smiled slightly. I like how your mind works. Over the next 6 weeks, they systematically dismantled the Park empire. Trafficking networks shut down. Drug operations raided. Money laundering schemes exposed. Political allies publicly shamed. Every week brought new devastation to the parks. And every week, Alexa filed reports with Agent Chin. Anonymous tips. Evidence packages. Witness testimonies from freed victims. The legal case was building while the criminal empire crumbled. Cassius Park called Minsuk in week 7. You're declaring war, Cassius said, voice tight with rage. Over what? The failed hit? That was Kim's stupidity, not mine. This isn't about the hit. Minsuk's voice was ice. This is about 15 years of grievances. My wife. My territory. Your consistent attempts to undermine me. Consider this overdue. We can negotiate. Territory. Money. Whatever you want. I want you destroyed. Completely. Your empire in ruins. Your family name worthless. Your legacy ash. Minsuk paused. No negotiations. No mercy. Just consequences. He hung up. Alexa, listening on the call, felt something cold settle in her chest. This was Minsuk the crime lord. Ruthless. Unforgiving. The man who'd built an empire on fear and violence. Not the father who made dinner for his daughter. Not the man who'd given her evidence to clear his name. Not the person who looked at her like she was something precious. Both versions were real. Both versions were him. And she was helping one version destroy another family. Having second thoughts? Minsuk asked, reading her expression. No. Just remembering who I'm working with. A monster. A man with monstrous capabilities. There's a difference. She met his eyes. Don't make me regret this partnership, Minsuk. I won't. He moved closer. The parks are evil, Alexa. What they've done, the trafficking, the murders, the corruption, it goes beyond criminal enterprise. It's systemic evil. Stopping them isn't monstrous. It's necessary. And when they're gone, what prevents you from becoming what they were? You. Simple. Direct. You keep me honest. You and Sujin. You make me want to be better than I am. That's too much responsibility for 2 people. Then help me find other reasons. Help me transition legitimate. But first, his voice hardened, help me finish this. The parks need to fall. Week 10 brought crisis. The parks struck back. Targeted Minsuk's legitimate businesses. Hotels bombed. Shipping containers sabotaged. A tech office burned. Worse, they discovered Sujin's location. They sent men to her grandmother's house, Dae Young reported, voice tight. We held them off, but it was close. Too close. Minsuk's face went pale. Then red. Then utterly cold. Bring her here. Now. Full security detail. And he looked at Alexa, you go with them. Keep my daughter safe. What will you do? What I should have done months ago. And this. He was planning something final. Something devastating. Alexa saw it in his eyes. Don't do anything stupid, she said. I'm doing what's necessary. There's a difference. The drive to Busan was tense. Alexa rode with Dae Young and 4 armed men. They collected Sujin and her grandmother quickly, professionally. Sujin was shaken but trying to be brave. Men came to the house, she said, voice trembling. With guns. Halmiani hid me in the pantry. I heard shooting. I thought, she broke off, tears finally spilling. Alexa pulled her close. You're safe now. I promise. No one will hurt you. Those men wanted to kill me. Because of Appa. Because of what he is. Because of what they are, Alexa corrected. Your father is protecting people. They're angry about that. But they won't win. How do you know? Because your father won't let them. And neither will I. They got Sujin and her grandmother to Seoul safely. Minsuk's penthouse was now a fortress, guards on every floor, surveillance everywhere, safe room installed. Sujin clung to her father when they arrived. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm sorry I'm your weakness. I'm sorry they came after me. Stop. Minsuk held her fiercely. You're not weakness. You're my strength. You're why I do everything. Never apologize for existing, understand? Never. But if something happened to you because of me, nothing will happen. I'm ending this. Tonight. He looked at Alexa over his daughter's head. Keep her safe. Whatever happens, keep her safe. What are you planning? Alexa demanded. Justice. Or vengeance. Depends on your definition. He kissed Sujin's forehead. I love you. Remember that. Then he was gone. Alexa tried calling. No answer. Tried tracking. He'd disabled his phone. Where is he going? Sujin asked, voice small. To end the war, Alexa said. What she didn't say, he might not come back. Minsuk is about to do something drastic. Comment, be careful if you're worried about what happens next. Like if you think he's making a mistake. Subscribe because the confrontation between Minsuk and the Parks will change everything, and not everyone survives. Chapter 7. The Reckoning. Minsuk went to the Park family mansion alone. Alexa discovered this 3 hours later, when Dae-jung arrived at the penthouse, face grim. He told me to stay here. Protect his daughter. Dae-jung's voice was tight. He's walking into their stronghold. Alone. It's suicide. How long ago? 3 hours. If they've killed him. They haven't. Alexa was already moving, checking weapons gear. They'll want information first. Want to know his weaknesses. That buys time. You're going after him. Yes. That's also suicide. Then I'll have company. She looked at Dae-jung. Stay here. Protect Sujin. If I don't come back, get her somewhere safe. Somewhere the Parks can't reach. And if neither of you come back, then execute the contingency plan. You know the one. Dae-jung nodded grimly. Minsuk had prepared for his own death detailed instructions for Sujin's care, financial provisions, contacts who'd help. Always planning. Always prepared. Alexa hoped they wouldn't need it. The Park mansion was in Seoul's outskirts. Fortified. Guarded. Designed to repel assault. Alexa didn't assault. She infiltrated. Marine training plus months of studying Korean criminal operations meant she knew how to move unseen. She bypassed cameras, avoided patrols, slipped through security gaps that would close once discovered. Found Minsuk in the mansion's basement. He was tied to a chair. Beaten but alive. Cassius Park stood before him with 2 guards. Telling me you've dismantled my operations out of principle? Cassius was saying. You're a criminal, Kong. Just like me. Don't pretend moral superiority. I'm exactly like you, Minsuk agreed, voice rough. That's why I know how you think. How you operate. Why I knew you'd bring me here instead of killing me outright. You want leverage. Information. I want my empire back. Too late. It's ash. Your trafficking network is gone. Drugs seized. Money laundering exposed. Political allies abandoning you. In 3 months, you've lost everything. Not everything. Cassius smiled coldly. I know where your daughter is. Your mother-in-law. Every person you care about. Kill me and they all die. So we negotiate. No negotiation. Minsuk's voice was steel. You killed my wife. You've trafficked hundreds of women. You murdered a federal agent and framed me. There's no coming back from that. The DA agent? Cassius laughed. That was 15 years ago. Ancient history. And framing you was brilliant strategy. Almost worked. Almost. But not quite. Because his daughter came for revenge. The bodyguard? Cassius's eyes widened. Morgan's daughter? You hired Morgan's daughter. She's quite something, isn't she? Marine trained. Combat experienced. Currently working with the DEA to build a case against you. Minsuk smiled bloodily. Even if you kill me, she'll finish the job. You're already done, Cassius. You just don't know it yet. Cassius pulled a gun. Then I'll kill her too. And your daughter. And everyone connected to you. If I'm falling, I'm taking you all. Alexa shot him. Not fatal. Shoulder wound. He dropped the gun, stumbled back. His guards turned. Alexa took them both down, 1 shot each, precise, professional. Then she was cutting Minsuk free. You came, he said, almost wonderingly. Of course I came. You're my partner. She helped him stand. Can you walk? Yes. But Cassius is neutralized, not dead. We're doing this legally, remember. She pressed her phone into his hand. Call Dae-jung. Get back up. I'll secure Cassius. But Cassius Park wasn't done. He'd crawled to his gun, raised it, aimed at Minsuk. Alexa moved on instinct, put herself between them. The gunshot was deafening. Pain exploded in Alexa's side. She fell, vision blurring. More gunshots. Minsuk had gotten his own weapon, was firing at Cassius. The crime lord fell, this time permanently. Then Minsuk was gathering Alexa, pressing his hands to her wound. No, 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 Alexa, stay with me. I'm fine, she slurred. Just a scratch. You're bleeding everywhere. Alexa, why did you? Partner, she managed. Partners protect each other. His face was the last thing she saw before darkness claimed her. Alexa woke in a hospital. Minsuk sat beside her bed, holding her hand. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Hey, she croaked. You're awake. His voice was raw with emotion. You've been unconscious for 18 hours. The bullet, you were lucky. Missed major organs. But you lost a lot of blood. Worth it. You're alive. Because you took a bullet for me. You almost died. But didn't. She squeezed his hand weakly. The Parks. Cassius is dead. The DEA has custody of his files, his operations, everything. Agent Chin says it's the biggest trafficking case they've built in a decade. His voice roughened. Your father's murder is officially solved. The Park family is finished. It's over, Alexa. We won. Sujin. Safe. Scared for you. Wants to visit as soon as you're strong enough. He raised her hand to his lips. You saved my life. Again. I'm starting to think you make a habit of it. Someone has to. You're reckless. Says the woman who threw herself in front of a bullet. That was strategic. I was wearing a vest. You were not wearing a vest. Should have been. Oversight. She tried to smile. Help me sit up? He adjusted the bed carefully. When she was upright, he didn't move away. Just stayed close, hand still holding hers. Alexa, he said quietly. I need to tell you something. Before I lose my nerve. You don't lose your nerve. I do with you. He took a breath. When I thought you were dying, when I was holding you and feeling your blood on my hands, I realized something. I love you. Not because you saved my life or my daughter's life. Not because you're helping me become better. But because you're you. Fierce and brave and stubborn and impossibly honorable even when you're breaking laws. I love you. And I need you to know that before. Alexa kissed him. Gentle because she was injured. Brief because she was exhausted. But real. Honest. Full of everything she'd been denying for months. I love you too, she whispered. Even though you're a criminal. Even though you're dangerous. Even though this is the most complicated relationship imaginable. We'll figure it out. You're going legitimate. That's non-negotiable. Already started. Dae-young is handling the transition. Within a year, everything will be above board. He kissed her forehead. For you. For Sujin. For the man I'm trying to become. And what are we, she asked. Partners? Something more. Everything more. His voice was certain. If you'll have me. If you can love a man who's done terrible things but wants to do better. If you can. Yes, Alexa interrupted. To all of it. Yes. They survived and they're together. Comment, finally, if you've been waiting for this. Like if you believe in redemption and second chances. Subscribe because there's one more chapter. The epilogue that shows what happens when enemies become family. Epilogue, 1 year later. The Second Chances Foundation opened on a sunny Saturday in Seoul. Alexa stood beside Minsuk at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, surrounded by freed victims, government officials, and reporters. This foundation, Minsuk said in his speech, represents our commitment to helping survivors of trafficking rebuild their lives. Education, job training, counseling, legal support, everything needed to transform survival into thriving. He'd insisted on funding it entirely, liquidating assets from his criminal empire to build something good, something his daughter could be proud of. Sujin stood in the front row, beaming. She'd helped design the foundation's programs, interviewed survivors, worked tirelessly despite being in her final year of high school. I want to run the foundation someday, she'd told Alexa. Help people like you and Appa helped me. Make something good from everything bad that happened. Now, Watching her applaud her father's speech, Alexa felt overwhelming pride. This girl, this family, this life she'd stumbled into while seeking revenge. After the ceremony, they gathered at Min-suk's penthouse, now renovated to be a home instead of a fortress. To new beginnings, Dae-jung toasted. He'd stayed on as head of security for Min-suk's legitimate businesses. And to the most improbable family I've ever seen. Improbable but perfect, Sujin added, raising her glass of sparkling cider. Right, Appa. Right, Min-suk agreed, arm around Alexa's waist. They'd married quietly 3 months ago. Small ceremony. Just family. Dae-young. Agent Chin, who'd become a friend during the Park family prosecution. Sujin as maid of honor, crying happy tears. I can't believe you're my stepmom, Sujin had said afterward. The coolest stepmom ever. Way cooler than my friends' moms. That's a low bar, Alexa had teased. Still. You're amazing. Thank you for saving my dad. For saving me. For being family. Now, 1 year after the war with the Parks, they'd built something real. Something good. Min-suk's empire was fully legitimate. Hotels. Shipping. Tech investments. All above board. Boring, he claimed, but profitable. And safe. No more assassination attempts. No more wars. Just business. Do you miss it? Alexa asked him late that night, when guests had left and Sujin was asleep. Miss what? Crime. He considered. Sometimes I miss the simplicity. The clear rules. You're strong, you win. You're weak, you lose. Simple. And now? Now it's complicated. Contracts and regulations and business ethics. But he pulled her closer. I have you. I have Sujin. I have a life that won't get me killed or imprisoned. That's worth all the complications. Alexa leaned into his embrace. My father would have liked you. The you're becoming. You think. I know. He believed in redemption. In people choosing to be better. She looked up at him. You chose that. Every day you choose it. Because you make it worth choosing. They stood together on the balcony, Seoul's lights spreading below. A city where they'd both found and lost so much. Where they'd discovered that sometimes the greatest transformations came from the most unlikely sources. Alexa had come to Seoul for revenge. Found love instead. Found family. Found purpose. And her father's legacy, justice, protection, service, lived on through the foundation, through Sujin's dreams, through the life Alexa and Min-suk were building together. No regrets? Min-suk asked. Only one, Alexa said. That it took me so long to realize you weren't my enemy. You weren't wrong to think it initially. I was a criminal. I did terrible things. Past tense. You're different now. Because of you. Because of us. Because Sujin needed a father worth admiring. Because people can change when they have reason to. She kissed him softly. We're proof of that. The bodyguard and the crime boss. The marine and the reformed criminal, Alexa corrected. Has a better ring to it. He laughed, a sound she'd learned to love. Genuine. Free. Nothing like the cold, controlled man she'd first met. I love you, Alexa Kong. I love you too. Inside, Sujin stirred in her sleep. Tomorrow she'd apply to universities. Start the next chapter of her life. Chase her dreams of international law and helping people. And she'd do it with 2 parents who loved her. Who'd fought wars, literal and metaphorical, to give her a better future. Who'd proven that even enemies could become family. That even broken people could build something beautiful. That love and redemption weren't just fairy tale concepts, but hard-won victories earned through choice and sacrifice and daily commitment to being better than you were. The universe's sense of irony had mellowed into something softer. Grace. Hope. Second chances. And in Seoul's neon-lit night, 2 people who'd started as enemies stood together as partners, building a life neither had planned but both desperately wanted. It was imperfect. Complicated. Built on foundations of pain and transformation. But it was theirs. And that made it perfect enough. The end. If this story of revenge turned to redemption moved you, smash that like button right now. Have you ever had to forgive someone you thought was your enemy? Share your story in the comments below. Subscribe and hit that notification bell because our next story proves that sometimes the person you're hired to protect becomes the person you can't imagine living without. From Seoul to wherever you're watching, thank you for being part of our story family. Blue Heart.